Yo, what's good, my people? It's your boy, Big Chris, aka the Compton Animator, and I'm here to give you another WWE Raw review. So, tonight we're reviewing WWE Raw for, what is it, February 3rd, 2014. Starting off Black History Month. What's up, my peoples? Let me get in the camera. What's up, my peoples? um, starting off tonight's show, we get, if I can find it, yep, there it is. We get Randy Orton starting off tonight's show. So Randy Orton comes out and he basically, talks about the whole thing of, him still having to face all these guys at the Elimination Chamber and stuff, and kind of bullshitting back and forth with the crowd a little bit here. The Authority come out and they start telling Randy Orton, what you've been doing is not a good look, and you're complaining a lot, and you're not looking like the face of the company. So we're gonna set you up with some matches to see if you really are the face of the company. And the first match they set him up for is the main event for the night, which is him versus Daniel Bryan. And they kind of show a little hints of if Daniel Bryan wins, maybe Daniel Bryan can probably be looked at as the face of the company one day. And then also after that, you get a Triple H leading on a yes chant. So that was kind of weird at the end. But as far as this opening segment goes, I pretty much I not really liked it, but I liked where Randy Orton was going here. Like I probably said before, Randy Orton seems to bring out a little bit more of a heel persona, I guess, when it's going towards WrestleMania, or I don't know what it is, but it seems like Randy Orton's more on fire, as far as promos and stuff right now. I don't know what the fuck was going on with him early, in the middle of last year, but he's a little bit more on fire with the promos and stuff. I think he's doing a little bit better and stuff like that, and especially later on the night, you see, something better from him. So next we get a match with The Shield versus Rey Mysterio, Big E Langston, and Kofi Kingston. So this was a pretty chill match. You got a lot of good spots out of everybody in here. Big E Langston did his thing, Kofi Kingston did his thing, and Rey Mysterio did their thing. You got The Shield being very dominant at a lot of points here. You also got a lot of good spots between Roman Reigns and Big E, plus Kofi Kingston got him some in there, and I think Rey Mysterio got him some in there. But all this played up more of the Shield, showing all three guys' dominance, but also showing they still have weak points, during the fact that stuff that's going on between Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. One of the sick parts of this match was you had Roman Reigns did two Superman punches. He had one that he did on Rey Mysterio where Seth Rollins was holding Rey Mysterio up on his shoulders, like sitting him on the shoulders like that, and Roman Reigns jumped all the way up and did a Superman punch on Rey Mysterio from that height. And another one was a really good Superman punch that he did onto Big E Langston, which is, you can see that right there. So yeah, this dude is fucking beast, man. Roman Reigns is really good. Plus Big E did a lot of good stuff. He even busted open up Roman Reigns in this match, so you got to see a little blood for Roman Reigns here. And I think we seen blood like 3 or 4 days in a row here. But yeah, it was a pretty good match. It wasn't like really good, but it did its job as far as playing up Roman these guys' strengths of the Shield, but also giving the other three guys some TV time as well. The Shield ended up winning this match. Dean Ambrose tagged himself in after Roman Reigns basically almost put down Big E Langston. Was getting ready to go for a spear. Dean Ambrose tagged himself in and went for the his little reverse DDT. So you kind of got like a little bit of argument between the Shield guys. Seth Rollins trying to break it up, and then Bray Wyatt pops up on screen and is basically talking shit to the guys. So you get Bray Wyatt on screen and he starts saying his little stuff to them, talking about how he's the king and stuff like that, and they're still they're what he's basically saying. He's saying the Shield can keep moving forward, but it is a movement that they will be broken down. That will be broken down on Wyatt's. You get Luke Harper, who talks again and says, it is hazardous to fuck with Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt clan, and that Bray Wyatt will always be the king. And it was another, pretty nice promo from the Wyatts. Pretty short, but pretty nice, and it did its job as, bring furthering on the, story parts with the Wyatts and the Shield. And later on the night, they start talking about that the Shield is going. I mean, not the Shield, but the Wyatts will have the match of their own against what's the boy's name? Another triple threat match for their own. So next you get a segment with what's his name? Bad News Barrett, Wade Barrett, and he's basically talking about he's basically shitting on the Super Bowl. It was kind of shitting on the Super Bowl itself, but shitting on the Super Bowl fans and saying, the Super Bowl fans aren't nothing, and they basically spent the whole day of eating crap, and now they're going to be fat and overweight and stuff like that. Yeah, he basically did that, and then the part that I didn't like from it, his promo was pretty funny, but the part that I didn't like is that you had the King kind of butt into the promo and said something about, shut up Bray Wyatt type thing. Bray Wyatt, Wade Barrett type thing, and it was just kind of I don't like seeing King put over himself too much. It's just not really cool to me at some points. But if it leads to at least Wade Barrett getting back into the ring, I'm happy with that. But if it don't, then I really don't want to see nothing between King and Bray Wyatt, because there's so many other wrestlers that you can pit. Bray Wyatt, can't stop saying that you can pit Wade Barrett against, Bad News Barrett against instead of the King. So next we get a match with Jack Swagger versus Christian. And this was an okay match here. It was basically a rematch from what happened on Friday Night SmackDown, for where Christian got himself into the Elimination Chamber off of this match. It was basically a match trying to put down a little bit more of on Jack Swagger, showing that, he's a strong guy, but, he's just not strong enough to, really fight off a guy like Christian, who's, put more of a main event push to himself. And it's showing more of a frustration with Jack Swagger, and kind of showing Cesaro and Zeb Coulter's kind of frustration that Jack Swagger's not doing what he's supposed to do. Christian comes out with the win here, and but Zeb Coulter kind of goes in the ring and starts berating Swagger a little bit, and Swagger's also pissed off at himself. So I like to see where they're going from here. Will they end up breaking up this team, or will they end up just kind of playing it to make Swagger stronger, and later on, like in a couple weeks, or wherever they're going to go from here. But it was an okay match here. Nothing to write home about. I feel that their match on SmackDown was way better, and it just felt like they had to do this, put a little bit of character stuff in here. But I like the character stuff that it had. The match did go on a little bit too long for me though. So let's see. After that, we get sorry about that. Let me change off of that. But let's see. After that, we get this cage match with the New Age Outlaws versus the Rhodes Brothers for the tag team titles inside of a cage match. And this match right here was very interesting. It was a cage match where the rules were flipped, where you had to pin the guy inside of the ring, and it wasn't about the whole thing of trying to get out of the ring. It was more about pinning and submitting the guy in the ring, and that was the whole mainstay of the match. There was no you get out for whoever gets out first wins. And they even did like the guy, they had to tag each other in the cage and stuff like that. As far as the match goes itself, the beginning and the very end was good. The middle part was dragged on a lot. The beginning was kind of fun. You had the what's his name? Road Dogg kind of play, oh shit, I'm old, and these guys are a little bit too much for me right now. You had Billy Gunn, kind of play a little bit more dominant, but still kind of like the brothers are too much for him. And I like that kind of at the beginning. The middle got very slow. They weren't using the cage really at all. I would say through the whole match, the cage was used about 3 times, maybe 4. The crowd was chanting, use the cage and stuff like that. And the middle was very slow. The best part of the match, though, came towards the end when everything started to break down. You get Cody Rhodes, who ends up climbing up to the top of the cage and doing a moonsault off of the cage onto onto Road Dogg. He kind of only clips Road Dogg with his arm, so it ended up kind of being like a moonsault clothesline off of the top rope. He takes a lot of the brunt onto the ground too, so I know that hurt. But it was a okay match for what it was. I mean, the moonsault really did save the match from being a lot worse. Yeah, it could have been a lot better. I don't know if it was the Road Dogs, just them not wanting to put their bodies more on the line, or if it was the guys at the back saying, don't go out there and do too much, just do enough to to get over. But yeah, this moonsault was pretty sick, and yeah, I like the way Cody Rhodes did it. He didn't fully catch Road Dogg, but I think it's more of Road Dogg needed to get more in place or whatever. But yeah, it was pretty okay. So up next we get I'm not sure what was next, but I can talk about this for right now. We kind of get a debut of Emma from NXT. She has a dance off with Summer Rae, and Fandango's outside with her, and it's supposed to be a dance off between Santino Marella and Fandango. I was surprised to see Santino Marella in the ring because he just had neck surgery, but oh yeah, forgot about the last match. The Outlaws win and they retain the belts. So yeah, like I told you about the match itself, that was whatever what that was. But yeah, speaking about this is Emma's debut, and Fandango and what's his name? Fandango and Santino Marella was supposed to have a dance off. So instead of doing that, Santino Marella just basically introduced Summer Rae into the ring, and it was the dance off between Summer Rae and Emma. I hope I'm saying this shit right. But Summer Rae and Emma had a dance off. It was basically Emma's introduction, and these dogs barking and throwing me off. It was basically Emma's introduction into the ring as a WWE character. As far as this goes, I thought it was okay. I would have liked to see them introduce Summer Rae. Like to see them introduce Emma in a better way than this. I like the way they introduced Summer Rae from NXT. I would have probably I was liking the way they were introducing Emma as a girl who's trying to get over in the crowd, showing her signs at Emma's. Every time Summer Rae has a match, and Emma comes out there, shows her sign and stuff like that. I would like to, gotten more of a thing where, Summer Rae pulls Emma into the thing and they start battling and fighting and stuff like that. I thought this was okay though. I would like to see them play more on this, further on down the line to getting Emma into the main roster and stuff like that. But the dance off Emma ends up winning, and Summer Rae actually danced better, but Emma does her goofy dance, and some of the fans know her, so she ends up winning because of that. I don't have a picture for this, but next we end up getting a match with Titus O'Neil and Zack Ryder. Yes, Zack Ryder's on Raw, but it's basically a burial match for Zack Ryder. He has a little bit of a comeback in the match, but he basically gets buried by he basically gets jobbed out by he gets buried by squashed. That's the word, squashed by Titus O'Neil. Titus O'Neil has a really good slam at the end, and ends up winning the match. It wasn't really as good as it should have been. It should have been a more dominant squash match, and Titus O'Neil should have really been dominating Zack Ryder here. And Zack Ryder should only gotten a little bit of just a little bit of a offense, but Titus O'Neil should have really been, dominating here. Next we got Sheamus. Oh, Titus O'Neil won that. Next we got Sheamus versus Curtis Axel with Ryback on the outside. Another match where it should have been more of a dominance from Sheamus. Curtis Axel should have got some offense, but Sheamus should have got a lot more dominance here. The crowd wasn't really into this. The crowd was pretty hyped throughout the night, but they started to die down more as the show went on. And this was one of the matches that kind of died them down a lot. Like I was saying, the crowd wasn't really hyped for this. Sheamus was doing okay here, but Curtis Axel really wasn't bringing the crowd up, got really no heat off of this and stuff like that. The best part of the match was after Sheamus had won the match, and you get Sheamus kind of having a stare down with Ryback, and on the backstage fallout on the YouTube, you get a whole couple of little two little promos with one with Sheamus and one with Ryback, and but Sheamus was pretty arrogant and you know just strong character on there, and Ryback was pretty funny in his promo. He even took a shot at CM Punk. So the match itself was very boring, but the afterwards, it's looking at a nice way to probably set up with Ryback versus Sheamus, hopefully. So next we get, let's see. Okay. Next we get a promo with Batista, and Alberto Del Rio ends up coming out in the middle of the promo. So this promo is basically Batista coming out. He's about to say something before he can get a word out. Alberto Del Rio comes out, and he's basically starts talking to Batista, like, saying, the whole little thing of, let's see if that was it. Yeah. Saying a whole little thing of, kind of like, how would I say this? Batista, like kind of like, why are you here and stuff like that, and basically, saying, you're trying to take my spot type thing, and I'm gonna beat the shit out of you type of stuff, and trying to piss off Batista more and more. It did draw a little bit of heat for Batista. The best part of this is once Alberto Del Rio actually hit Batista with the mic, and they both started. Batista started getting beat up by Alberto Del Rio started beating up Batista. I say that's a better way to say it. Alberto Del Rio started beating up Batista, stomping him out and stuff like that. Once he backs off a little bit and goes to do it again, Batista rises up and kind of hits Alberto Del Rio and tries to get him for the power bomb. The Batista bomb, but Alberto Del Rio ends up sliding out the ring, and they have a stare down, and you get a very pissed off Batista here. And I like the promo parts from Alberto Del Rio here. Batista was kind of iffy because all he was saying is, I don't have a problem with you type thing. I really hope they don't continue to play Batista as, kind of a dormant, beast, or, kind of, like, oh, I'm just trying to here to, do what I got to do and move on. He needs to be a vicious animal. If you're going to play him as face for now, play him as vicious, a cool guy, but will fuck you up. I really want them to play him as that, kind of a Brock Lesnar, but a face version. Kind of how Big E plays it, without the the goofiness that Big E has. But I thought it was an okay promo. Once Alberto Del Rio got into the ring, it got a lot better. But yeah, it was okay for what it was. So next, let's see. Next up, we get a match with the Wyatt Family versus Ziggler. It was Ziggler, R-Truth, and Xavier Woods. This is the same way I feel about the Shield's opening match. It was basically a match to put over the Wyatt Family. Ziggler, okay, Xavier Woods and R-Truth were okay in this match. They really brought nothing to it. Once Ziggler got in, the crowd popped loud, and he got in and got some good offense on him, and he looked strong in this match. And as you can just tell that the whole thing was that the Wyatt Family were too powerful for him to overcome. So Ziggler looked really strong in this match, and I like that they kept him looking strong. Xavier Woods looked a little strong, and R-Truth had a little bit of offense. But, it really showed the power of the Wyatt Family here, and you end up getting the Wyatt Family winning after Sister Abigail gets put onto Dolph Ziggler, and Bray Wyatt goes for the pin. So it was a pretty okay match for what it was. I would have probably liked to see a little bit more of, viciousness and from the offense of the Wyatt Family, but it was okay for what it was. After that, we get a reverse promo with the Shield on the screen, Bray Wyatt Family inside of the arena, outside of the ring, and basically here the Shield kind of start talking shit to the Wyatt Family, telling them, I like, because, okay, hold on. Dean Ambrose basically comes on the screen. He's going ooh type scary type thing, and I like that opening to that. And they basically telling them, you know, you don't scare us. We don't believe in the devilish shit that you're doing, and we're basically going to fuck you up. And you get Bray Wyatt at the end of it, just kind of hold his arms out and say, "I'm ready for war." This promo right here and a promo earlier really setting up this match. I can't wait to see what they do with these guys next. Both of them, both promos are really good. Both teams inside of the ring, when they're watching the promos, they put on good, you know, just character performances of how, you know, the Shield stands strong, stay still, you know, don't really say anything, and, you know, they just look at it like, I'm gonna fuck these dudes up. While the Wyatts, on the other hand, are, you know, just outrageous, kind of crazy acting. You got Bray Wyatt, who's just laughing the whole time. Just great character stuff right here between both sides, and I can't wait to see what they do with these matches. So yeah, I can't wait to see, you know, where they go from here. Next we get, I believe was, the Divas match. So next we get a Divas match with Naomi versus Oksana with AJ Lee on commentary, standing outside with Tamina. This match right here is basically 7 minutes of Naomi doing her best to try to fight Oksana. Oksana was like wrestling out a piece of like a what do you call it? It was like wrestling a stick tonight. She looked really stiff. Naomi was trying her best to do different moves, trying to have fun. There was no charisma from Oksana. There was really nothing from her. And Naomi, you know, she did some nice moves here. She can barely get the crowd to pop because Oksana really wasn't putting off anything. And I think Oksana almost injures Naomi in part of this match, where she goes for a knee drop onto the side of her face, but actually like hits her eye really hard. But you know, it was a pretty mediocre match for what it was. Naomi did her thing, but you got nothing from Oksana here, and it just led to be a mediocre match. The best part of this match was AJ Lee on commentary, basically talking the shit about the whole match and the girls inside of it and stuff. After the match, you get Alicia Fox, who tries to go in and do a heelish attack on Naomi, but the fucker doctors end up fighting them both off and hitting Alicia Fox with a rear view. So it's basically setting up a match for hopefully at Elimination Chamber with Naomi and AJ Lee. Like I said, the match was very average at best and kind of below average, really, to tell the truth. But it did get 7 minutes, which is more time than the Divas usually get. It kind of pissed me off because they gave them time and they really did nothing with it. It was a better match that they had last week. They got some time, so hopefully they continue to give them time and they put a better diva in there with Naomi. I think if they would have put Alicia Fox versus Naomi, that would have been way better, and it would have showed off Naomi's power more, and you know, it would have been a nice faster match with Alicia Fox, and it would have been way better. Oksana's more of an arm girl. And last but not least, we get a match with Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton. So I'm on 23 minutes. This is a long review. So this match right here was a very good match. You had a lot of great spots with Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton. They both played characters up very well. You know, they basically did their job. And like I was saying earlier, you know, you got a lot of good stuff from Randy Orton. He was, you know, doing a lot of good offense against Daniel Bryan. He was beating down on him a lot, you know, fucking with his arm a lot and stuff like that. A lot of the moves that Randy Orton was doing looked like they were very painful, you know. And yeah, Randy Orton, I don't understand this. You know, Randy Orton was really good here. And I don't understand, you know, why is it only with guys like, you know, Daniel Bryan, Ziggler, or Big E he can have good matches with, but he can't do the same thing, you know, when all eyes are not on him, or is when it's with just Cena. You know, he should be able to have these same type of matches with everybody, you know, and Cena's an okay wrestler, so he should be able to have the same types of matches with him. But this match right here was, like I said, was pretty good. It got a lot of time, I think about 26 minutes. Yeah, it was a pretty good match. Daniel Bryan did his thing here, and was very good at doing what he needed to do and stuff like that. It ends up with Daniel Bryan actually getting the win here, and it came off of Kane tries to interfere. Um, Daniel Bryan basically denies Kane from getting any type of interference in really, and throws him into the steps. Gets back into the ring. Ducks a clothesline, hits the running knee at the end, and starts cheering with everybody. And you know, Daniel Bryan is over. The crowd was very tired at the end of this, so they didn't really go and do the full cheer stuff with Daniel Bryan. But like I said, it was a really good match, and it kind of saved the show from being pretty average to me. It was a very long show, and I felt the 3 hours here. But yeah, it was a pretty average show until the last match, and the last 26 minutes were really fun to watch, and it was a very good wrestling match at the end. And I even seen a tweet from Kurt Angle saying how good the match was. So after that, you get Daniel Bryan, who ends up getting attacked by both Randy Orton and Kane. Kane ends up hitting him with a choke slam, and you end the match off like this with Kane standing and Randy Orton standing over a beaten down Daniel Bryan. So the show in all was a pretty okay show. There were some good points here. There were some very, kind of below average. There was nothing bad here, but it was very below average to, kind of mediocre at some points and stuff like that. The show was like a C through the most of it. The last match kind of brought it up to a C plus. I was gonna say like a B minus, but it really didn't do that much for the whole 3 hours to bring it up higher. Even the two matches that I thought that the three matches that I thought that would have gave me something really good with the Shield match and the Wyatt Family match that they had, and also the tag team cage match. I thought those would have been great matches. Ended up being just okay. And the end match was really good. So yeah, it was a C plus performance tonight. So this video is going on for 27 minutes, and this is a long ass video. But thank you for watching the video. If you stuck around through the whole thing, contact me at the links below. If you can give me more advice to shorten these videos, give them to me. If you want me to keep them this length, I'll do it because I like to talk about wrestling. That's the only reason why videos go this long, because I like to talk. But yeah, thank you for watching, and peace.